All right, guys, we're joined this year again by Bill Kazmaier, the legend. How you doing today, Bill?
Fantastic, thank you.
You got a busy weekend ahead of you, I suppose?
Yeah, a little bit, 3 hard days. But I'm not lifting anything, so I'll be okay.
That's good. Well, you look like you've been lifting some things. How's the guy stay that jacked?
You know, I'm going to be 65. But as a former world's strongest man, I've got to look like the world's strongest man.
You might as well. You got to look at it if you can't still be it. I think you're probably still up there, though, aren't you?
Probably not. I think Brian Shaw's probably got me by a little bit, maybe half Thor.
Well, you're still the strongest guy in a lot of rooms, I'd be willing to bet.
Yeah, thanks for that. But it's really important, you know, that the whole physical culture, you know, promotes strength, fitness, and it's great to be around the guys that are doing it. You know, the half Thors and the Shaws, Chris Stokowski and Mariusz from Poland. There's so many fabulous, fantastic athletes that this weekend's going to be really great, and they'll define who's the world's strongest man.
That's a great question. Now, who do you got your money on if you had to pick? We got Shaw here, Thor, Jerry Pritchett, a few other greats. If you had to put your money one on today, would you be willing to throw a name out there?
Yeah, well, you can't. You know, half Thor is fantastic. He's my favorite. He gives me a lot of respect and calls me Sir and Mr. Kazmaier. I love Jerry Pritchett. His deadlift is fantastic. But when you look at a guy who's 4 times the world's strongest man, you kind of have to go with him. And he's also a former champion. As a matter of fact, if you'll remember, he tore off his bicep at the Arnold, and he just kept going. That's a cosmonaut. That's really a tough guy. And I like that about him. So it's going to be a great comp.
Definitely. One other question along that lines. We've asked this question to some of our audience before, too. Greatest of all time strongman. We'd look at yourself, a few Icelanders, Brian Shaw now, a few other names in there. Big Z, of course. Any opinion there? Greatest of all time?
Yeah, it's kind of tough, you know. If you want to ask Brian Shaw to do 800 for 10 in the squat, 900 for a triple in squat in training, 500 for 15 in the bench, 600 for 5, 633 for 3, and 661. And that's without any specialization at all. And then you take it to the deadlift. I held the world record there too, and the total. And the thing is, that was back then. We really didn't know, you know, much about training and recovery and the rest. So I kind of have a hard time with it. You know, although these guys are 100 pounds heavier, are we going to use a formula, or are we just going to say who's the biggest, strongest, and the best? When we look at some of these partial deadlifts, back in the day with the coins, no one knows that I had 2 torn hamstrings from the squat. I squatted 870 and tore one hamstring, and I wrapped it up, and I went 950 and tore the other one. So as we all know, in the deadlift, it's pretty tough to pull with torn hamstrings. And I did 1,055. So could I have done 1,075 or more? Probably. But that was then, and this is now. We got to give these guys their due. So one of those 3 guys, Zydrunas, half Thor, Eddie Hall, statically strong, 200 kilo body weight. Brian Shaw, the same kind of weight, 6'8". These are the strongest guys that have ever walked the planet.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that, and we've got some maybe bias. We might back your corner in the argument, so maybe we'll just tell you were the greatest of all time.
Well, you know, that is really a nice honor and everything. And I guess what you have to do is wait 20 years from now and then look back through history, because all I had to look at was John Cuck, about 2370, John Cole, a little over 2400 at a lighter body weight, and Don Reinhout, 2420. I did 2425. It's sort of like after watching the movie Everest. Did you guys ever look at that movie? They climbed to the top and they put their flag. Well, I was at the top of the mountain. I would never have dreamt 35 years ago that a guy would walk through the valley and look me right in the eye. Half Thor Bjornsson at 6'9" and 420. It's like things have changed. And I didn't know that back then I could have taken my body weight to 400 pounds. I thought that 330 and more was enough. But I lived in Alabama where the temperature was 100 degrees. And I didn't do everything right.
There's definitely been advancements in the sport since from then to now, I would say, right?
You know, for sure. You know, I mean, look at Eddie. He does it just to help with cell metabolism. He lies in a hyperbaric chamber. I mean, there's very few people that will do that. You know, there's all sorts of stem cell work and blood type transfusions. centrifuge, and all the rest. PCP. So a variety of ways, including chiropractic and so many nutritional aspects and training that, some of these guys are getting some help from the best trainers in the world. If anybody knows the name Stan Eifering, am I saying his last name right?
Yeah,
pretty close.
Yeah.
Eifering. Well, the point is, I know him. I've listened to him in different seminars. He's an extremely intelligent guy and a lifter who has not only walked the walk, but as he talks the talk, he's helping a lot of guys. He's helped Brian, he's helped Halfthorpe, and when you get those guys ready and willing to take advice from guys like me and Eddie Cohen and a few of the greats from the past, then that's where you make your advances. And we continue to contribute to the culture and to helping these guys, and that's probably why they're advancing. They're getting help. Back in my day, there weren't very many guys that would help me. I had one coach, Tony Fitton, who showed up at my workouts, and he helped me. He loaded the weights, and it helped a lot. But nowadays, you got companies supporting these athletes and helping them to live the lifestyle that they do, eating 10 or 20,000 calories in a day.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Well, I think we're going to let you we got quite a line piling up, Bill. A lot of people want to see you. Thanks a lot for your time. It's always great to be able to sit and chat with one of the greatest that's ever walked the earth, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you, and thanks to SBD here for bringing you here and getting you out talking to everyone. It's pretty cool to see you.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.